Shotcrete shoring, the BelPacific way. The following video provides an overview of the BelPacific shoring process. You must be authorized prior to operating equipment and performing any of the shoring tasks.
Shoring is the procedure used to reinforce and strengthen the ground adjacent to an excavation. This is done by installing closely spaced steel bars that act as anchors to hold up a wall of reinforced concrete. As the excavation proceeds down, the shoring process continues. To create the anchor system, equipment is used to drill holes into the soil at predetermined depths. Grout is pumped into the bottom of the hole and will act as an anchor. An anchor pin is inserted, and a plate and nut are added to secure the system. Once the anchor pins are in place, a wire mesh reinforced wall of concrete is sprayed over the soil. When the concrete has dried, the anchor pins are loaded and tested to ensure the wall is secure.
Before shoring can begin, the location must be prepped. Prepping the site includes removing obstacles, such as old buildings, trees, and boulders. All underground utilities must be identified and marked. In some situations, the utilities may require a support structure. The design and placement of the anchor pins is determined by engineers and is based on soil conditions, excavation depth, and the proximity to surrounding structures. The engineered design must be followed to ensure the wall is created in the safest way possible. Prior to digging, the site is secured and surrounding hazards are identified. It's important that you do not enter the construction zone without first going through a site-specific orientation. Each site will have a job board with specific health and safety information.
Safety meetings are held on a daily basis. This ensures everyone is aware of the hazards and that tasks can be coordinated safely. You are required to wear mandatory personal protective equipment at all times. This includes a hard hat, steel-toe boots, high-visibility vest, safety glasses, long pants, and hearing protection when necessary. In some situations, you will also require specialized equipment. Since many of the materials that you work with contain silica, you will be required to wear a fit-tested respirator for certain tasks. In the event of an emergency or you require first aid, blow your whistle or an air horn 3 times. If you hear an air horn or whistle, immediately stop what you are doing and contact your supervisor.
Always maintain visual contact with equipment operators. If you can't get their attention, throw a rock in front of the cab or at the back end. Excavators create a very wide turning radius with their arm and bucket. Always be aware of your surroundings. Shoring materials and equipment must be organized in a central location and will be continuously relocated as the excavation moves along. It's important to maintain a clean site and ensure the cutoff anchors, pins, meshing, and any other waste is cleaned up as you go.
Anchor pin locations are marked out to the engineer's specifications. The operator moves the driller into position and the helper confirms the drill angle is correct. The equipment is loud, so it is important that everyone involved understands the hand signals being used. Always be aware of what is going on around you. Water is used with the driller to keep the dust down. Half-mask respirators must be worn if drilling will be performed dry.
As the drill enters the soil, the next length of steel is retrieved. It's important that the ends of the steel remain clean to ensure an easy connection. The lengths of steel are added until the hole reaches the required depth. Once the hole has been successfully drilled, the process is then reversed until all the lengths of steel are removed. In some situations, the steel will remain in the hole and act as the anchor pin. The operator then moves the driller to the next anchor location and starts the process again.
While the drilling is taking place, the anchor pins and grout is being prepared. It is important that the mixer and pump be continuously cleaned. Hardened grout can be dislodged and plug the lines. The anchor pins are cut to a predetermined length and connected with a coupler. Centralizers are placed around the anchor pin to ensure they stay in the middle of the hole. When ready, the grout pipe is inserted into the drill hole. Once the required amount of grout is pumped in, the grout pipe is removed. The pin is then placed into the hole where the lower portion sinks into the cement. A PVC shield is placed over the anchor pin and taped into position. The grouting process is continued until a set number of panels have been completed.
After the anchors are in place, the excavator will trim back the soil to an identified depth. Mesh is carried over to each of the panels and then cut into place. The meshing provides a solid attachment for the shotcrete. Rebar pins are inserted with a hydraulic hammer, and the mesh is tied into position. To maintain proper depth for recessing, the bearing plates and nuts are attached to the anchor pins. To ensure water does not build up behind the wall, weeping pipes are tied into place. Once the mesh has been tied into place, the extended pins and anchors are cut down to ensure a clean wall. The panels are now ready for the shotcrete. Before the cement arrives, it's important that everyone is prepared.
Torque is created when concrete is pumped through a hose line. It is important that all hose connections utilize whip checks, and anchors are set up at the top and bottom of the excavation. Without an anchor system, the loaded hose will move around uncontrollably. Being hit with a loaded concrete hose can result in a serious injury. Always ensure you are not standing directly beside a vertical hose. Ensure the hose is laid out and can reach all the panels being shot. Slick pack or grout slurry is placed into the hose to ensure a smooth flow of cement. A worker will control the flow of concrete at the top of the excavation and must maintain communication with the workers spraying the shotcrete.
Once everything is prepared, the cement truck is backed up to the pump and hand signals are used to control the flow of concrete. The shotcrete hose and nozzle is heavy and hard to control alone. It's important that you're working as a team to move the hose around. The nozzle man applies the shotcrete to all areas and ensures no voids are created. If a loaded shotcrete hose must be moved for a considerable distance, utilize the assistance of mobile equipment if available. Once the panels have been sprayed, the shotcrete is cut away from the bearing plates and the panels are left to dry. It's important to clean up the pump and hoses once spraying has been completed. If cement is left in the hose lines, it will become hardened and difficult to clear.
Once the shotcrete is dry, the anchor pins are loaded and tested to the engineer's specifications. This process ensures the anchor pin has been anchored correctly. You must never walk directly in front of an anchor pin being loaded. Always stand to the side. Once the anchor pin has been brought up to the correct load, the nut is tightened against the bearing plate. The anchor is now under pressure and the shotcrete is safely retaining the soil. The shoring process is continued down until the bottom of the excavation is reached.
Shoring tasks can be repetitive, but it's always important to stay alert. Never ignore the potential hazards associated with shoring.